Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Political Brown Kid here, and I'm going to talk about something I think, is going to be pretty controversial. I think a lot of people, as soon as I start talking, first minute, you're going to get very triggered. So I need you to open up your third eye, and I need you to open up your ears. Do not react until you listen to the whole thing. What I want to talk about is the inherent danger in knowledge. And as you can see from the breakdown of current society, the way we are in 2023 going forward, specifically with male female relationships, there's becoming a serious breakdown in knowledge. Also, with that, in freedom, the freedom to do what you want to do. You can see this with, I think, the procuring cause kind of today, or I shouldn't say the procuring cause, but maybe the escalating cause in the breakdown in male female relationships can be tied to feminism. Now, I'm not trying to put all of the onus or blame on women in regards to the breakdown in male female relationships, but I'm going to give an explanation. I'm going to have to back this train up a little bit further just to kind of give you or illustrate how knowledge is is kind of the breakdown of a lot of things and that there's an inherent danger within it. So let's go all the way back. If there are people who believe in the Bible, and I told you what my position is, I'm going to have extensive videos on the Bible and religion. But if you look at the Bible, and if you're a person who's religious, and if you take the Bible for what it is, if you go back to Genesis, it wasn't God who gave man knowledge. It was actually the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call him. God did not intend for man to have the knowledge that he has, because the knowledge that man was given by Satan put man, when I say man, I mean mankind, that's man and woman, so feminists, please do not get triggered. It put them on the level of God, and they even say that in the Bible. Now man is like God. And when you give man knowledge, you can see what man has done with that knowledge. You can see the technology that man has created. We can look at it even today. Man used the splitting of the atoms to create. I mean, there was good things that came out of the splitting of the atoms, right? You got a lot of good things that came out of that, but you also got nuclear weapons. You got weapons of mass destruction that came from that, because that's what man does. Man uses a lot of technology to do evil or devilish things. We can even look at the slavery and or the emancipation of African Americans or Africans throughout the diaspora. And you looked at the slave owners wanted to keep what? What did they wanted to do? They wanted to keep the slaves ignorant. They wanted to keep them illiterate, not reading books, not a lack of knowledge of what is going on. Because once you give a person that knowledge and a person has information, they can realize what the possibilities are. And I'm not saying that people should have been ignorant and that slaves should have stayed ignorant. That's not what I'm saying. Because the door of knowledge was opened up. If you believe in the Bible, it was opened up to it was opened up to Adam and Eve. So every man or mankind, regardless of race, should have that knowledge. But the whites or Caucasians used knowledge or intelligence or the lack thereof in order to keep individuals suppressed. But what happened once individuals learned to read and once individuals learned to think? They didn't even have to learn to read. Let's even take reading off the table. Just when you become aware of what freedom is, you saw what happened. People wanted that freedom. And then when you give them information through books and give them knowledge, the thing with a human being is like a virus. They want to consume, and once they consume one thing, they're going to consume, and they consume as much as they can until there's nothing else to consume. That's what we do. So when you give a person knowledge that, life has infinite possibilities, you look at slavery and you look at the emancipation of slavery, okay, we were happy to be free, but then that wasn't enough. And I'm not trying to say that it should have been enough. Again, don't get hung up on these points, but I'm just trying to do an illustration, and I'm going to walk you forward to today. But you look, when whites freed blacks, It went from slavery to Reconstruction. And then it was like, okay, well, they're not even happy being free. Now they want to run the government. I'm pretty sure this is what whites are thinking. But this is not me thinking here, but this is white. You got to look at it from a white person's perspective. They're like, okay, now these people want to be on our level. They want to be like us and or surpass us. And then Reconstruction came, and then blacks still wanted more. They weren't happy being they wanted separate but equal, and I can understand you want to be separate but equal because we should have equality. But then once you got the separate but quote unquote equal, well, we never got separate but equal. But once you had the separate part, then you wanted the separate but equal, and then it was like, okay, well, I want more, and now I want to become this, and I want to become that, and you saw and now you can see the clashes, and ever since then you've had continuous clashes between black and white. That's what you have, and you have that going on till this day. It's a power struggle. Now when you look at it from a feminist perspective, women, because remember, feminism latched on to the civil rights movement, and then it went away. But it seems like every time that there's a black movement or for a movement of blacks for equality, feminism rises because feminism went away. It reared its head when during Martin Luther King and the March on Washington, died down, went away. And then kind of as soon as like the George Floyd and all of the Trayvon Martin, the Sandra Bland, Black Lives Matter stuff started happening, feminism came back again because everybody wants to be that victim and have their platforms, stood up. So now you have women saying, well, we're oppressed. We want more. We want stuff. Men are oppressing us. And then what do you have? Now you have women, again, consuming, becoming the gatekeepers and getting additional knowledge and information. And now they see that, and now once they have their particular rights and once they reach a particular level, what do? They want more. And they want more. But then the only thing with that is when you're dealing with in a relationship, when a woman has more, she wants her male counterpart to have more than her. Or once she starts getting that knowledge and information, or she has particular things, now she can see and understand, and she can say, well, now that I have a fuller understanding or the world, I can put the world in a bigger or better context. And now that I have these apps and programs at my disposal, and I can go on Instagram, I can go on Twitter, and I can go on Facebook and all of these different social media platforms. Again, this is information, and information is knowledge. And whether that knowledge is true or false, right or wrong, fictitious, made up, or what have you, it is still information and or knowledge. It may be false knowledge, but it is still knowledge nonetheless. And once a woman starts seeing this, because you have to remember, a woman has a competitive nature with other women. She doesn't compete to get a man. She doesn't compete for a man. She competes against a woman. And once she's looking at all of these different social media platforms and she sees the materialism, other women having fun in Dubai, other women going to Spain, other women doing this, other women doing that. Now this woman has now set a bar, and now it becomes, okay, now if these women are doing that, I have to be doing that. And if I'm doing that, my counterpart has to be doing that. So therefore it is mandatory that he has a passport. Therefore it is mandatory if I'm making $150,000 or $200,000, he has to make $300,000 or $400,000, and so forth and so forth. And so knowledge and information begets trouble. It just does. And I'm not trying to say that individuals should not have that. I'm kind of conflicted with it, to be honest with you, but it's just we do not know how to constructively put that knowledge and information into context to say, what are the limitations that we should put on this knowledge? If we go down this particular path, it just doesn't seem like it is in human nature to, have that discipline in order to say that, if I do this and I can do good with this, I can also do tremendous harm with this information as well. And that is the problem with inherent knowledge and also with freedom. The unfortunate part about this too, if you look at it, and I'm going to use the black experience as well as the female experience in this as well. When you look at what blacks went throughout the diaspora during slavery, you went through women being raped, you went through men being castrated, you went through, being subjugated, you went through even when you were freed from slavery, you went through with the birth of a nation. You went through several psychological warfare that whites played against blacks to project you as shiftless, lazy. You can even say thugs. That word wasn't used back in probably the late 1800s, early 1900s, but they portrayed you in a certain light. They portrayed you as being rapists, lusting after white women. That's how they portrayed white men, that they were going to just rape all of the white women. And they portrayed a particular image of blacks. And then as soon as blacks got free, what did blacks do? And then also too, they called you the N-word. The N-word was prevalent. That was the terminology placed on you by the white man, and it was used from a detrimental perspective. And what did blacks do as soon as they got free? As soon as they got free, during the 40s and 50s, you had Martin Luther King fighting for your right, and him and Sidney Poitier, let me not even forget that, and Harry Belafonte. I'm going to throw all three of those jokers in this category. They fought for your right to date a white woman. That's what they did. They fought for integration. They fought for your right to date white women. That was a part of it. I mean, that's not the whole gist of it, but that was a part of it. If you read Harry Belafonte did an article, said Martin Luther King's first true love was a white woman. But she turned him down, I guess, because her father made her cancel the relationship. Go look it up. I don't make this stuff up. And I guess he was so distraught, he created the civil rights movement. Him and Sidney Poitier, they the main ones fighting for black rights, dating white women. All you watch is all of these 1960s blaxploitation movies, and every black man has to have a white woman with him. Every black person, to this day, we still use the N-word and we try to justify it. It means kings in Ethiopian language or whatever. It means kings if you say it this way. No, we're taking it and we're using it as empowerment. We make excuses to use the terminology that the same things that white people used against us in slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, and we turn it and we've adopted that as good, as something positive. Black women now lusting after white men. Tiffany Haddish, she can't go on a talk show without saying, where the white men at? K. Michelle, when she had her reality show, she riding around, I want me a white man, where the Italian men at? Black women are now online making PSAs, public service announcements. I don't date black men, I'm looking for a white man, where y'all at? And these are the same people that raped y'all. This is what black people do. We've adopted all of the negative things that white people took about us, and we put it into our culture as soon as we got free. And now the same thing is kind of happening with feminism. Women complained when rap music first came out that it was misogynistic. They talked all kind of terrible things about rap. And some of it rightfully so. Women claimed that men held them back in certain categories, that men just exhibited, they talked about men's brutish behavior and how women were more elegant and sophisticated. They used, their feminine advantages, doing compare and contrast. And now as soon as feminism has taken off, you can't watch a reality show without seeing women fighting on television. Supposedly, these are supposed to be rich women that's in the highest socioeconomic category, whether it be in the United States or internationally in other countries, and these women are fighting like they're in the projects. These women have claimed that men have subjugated them by calling them bees and the HOE word and all of these other negative terms, but you can't watch television without seeing women calling each other bees like blacks call each other the N word. They've adopted it as a term of endearment. And this is the way women talk. You see them fighting. The things that were attributed to men, women are now fighting, robbing banks, and doing all this kind of crazy stuff. And now the raps, you can't, they talked about rap music, and I get it. Rap music, there was some lyrics in there that was definitely misogynistic. But now you really can't even, but the women, you can say the same thing. They're soliciting themselves. They've adopted, they come on stage, they're wearing basically bathing suits, if that, on stage. They have a song called WAP, and you know what the acronyms to that is. And those are probably some of the lighter songs. They solicit themselves and they're putting all of the things that they claim that men had subjugated them for, and they've adopted it. This is what you get when you have knowledge and freedom. I'm not trying to say that it hasn't worked out, but maybe there was a reason in the biblical terms why God did not want to give people a particular amount of knowledge. He wanted to keep that knowledge from us because maybe he knew that this is where we would wind up. This is the Political Brown Kid. I'm going to end this here. I think I've gone on long enough. Please like, please subscribe, please leave comments. Please share the video with anyone and everyone that you know so that people can chime in and people can provide rebuttals if they feel that as though I missed the mark. But this is the Political Brown Kid. Take care. Be safe.